What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking into my YouTube channel. Pastor Matt here. Now, you probably think that I'm against megachurches. In fact, I'm really not. In fact, I want to try to be as charitable as I possibly can when talking about this issue. For one thing, I went to a megachurch for a number of years when I was in college, and to be completely honest, it was some of the best years of my Christian life. I grew like crazy. I had tremendous pastors that cared for me. I met my wife at a megachurch. I'm talking about the chapel in Akron. It was huge at the time. It was before it planted a number of campuses around the Akron area. It was one of the best churches to be at for a number of years, and I don't regret in any way my time at the chapel. And so while you might think that as a Presbyterian small church, kind of reformed, a regulative principle guy would have a lot of negative things to say about megachurches, and I will have a few critiques here in just a moment, but I do want to say a number of positive things about megachurches because, after all, I'm in a pretty charitable mood this afternoon. So hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, man? Welcome to my channel. I'm Matt. I'm the pastor of Gospel Fellowship PCA. We're a Reformed church just north of Pittsburgh. Love to have you come join us at some point. If I can get my own introduction right, love to have you here. So what are the strengths of megachurches? And then I will give a few critiques. I won't be harsh, I promise. But megachurches have the advantage of being able to do all kinds of ministries. In fact, it's their size. That's their real advantage. And so whereas many churches just have one or two ministries that they carry out very effectively, a megachurch can tackle a number of projects at the same time because they have the resources, the talent, the budget, and the people to do them. And so you'll often see megachurches that have a fantastic outreach to the homeless, to those who are in prison, to youth, soup kitchens, all kinds of care groups. And so megachurches, because of their size, they're able to tackle all that especially well. Not only that, but they are able to fund missionaries and work on all kinds of mission projects in ways that normal churches can't. So for instance, here at our local church, Gospel Fellowship PCA, we try to give as much as we possibly can to global missions and sending out missionaries and supporting those who are already on the field. But a megachurch has the ability to multiply that to the X degree. And so megachurches can send and fund rather than a handful of missionaries, perhaps dozens of missionaries onto the mission field. And so that's an obvious and clear advantage. They can also care for people in affinity groups that local churches might not be able to support. So here's what I mean by that. In an affinity group, these are groups, small group studies of like-minded or like-situationed people in their lives. So you may have a widows group, and a lot of churches do, but you can be far more specific than that in a megachurch because of the number of people. So you could be in a small group that's a widows group for those who died in the military, or you may have a group for parents whose children are in the military, or something really, really specific like that. Left-handed people, whatever it is, immigrants from the Ukraine, you name it, and a megachurch can do it because they have thousands and thousands of people. And so you can make those affinity groups very, very small so that they're very, very niche. All right. High technology. Megachurches have incredible tech, incredible video, incredible audio. Sometimes they have their own apps. Their technology seems to be very, very polished, very, very excellent. Their facilities tend to impress people just by how grand and majestic they are. Now, whether or not that's a strength or a weakness, I don't know. On one hand, it's nice to have incredible facilities with everything you might possibly need. On the other hand, we sometimes have to ask ourselves, is that how the church has always functioned? Does it always have a theater and a drama room and a gymnasium and an indoor swimming pool? Usually the answer to that is no. In fact, many churches around the world don't even have buildings. But megachurches tend to have property in large measure, and therefore they have some very, very excellent things. Sometimes I'll walk into a youth room and it'll have so much tech, so many cameras, so many screens, it's absolutely overwhelming. And while a young person might think that's really, really cool, of course, at the end of the day, we don't really need that kind of stuff to be the church, do we? Megachurches have one more advantage, and then I'll say some disadvantages. The advantage is that the pastors can be very, very specialized in what they do. So a preaching pastor can focus almost exhaustively and entirely on preaching. Thus, they tend to be very, very good communicators. You have some pastors that are designated just to care or counseling, and so they tend to be very, very good counselors. And you have worship pastors and other things where these pastors are highly specialized in what they do. Now, to mention a few weaknesses, of course, megachurches are prone to the celebritization of the pastoral ministry, if that's a word, celebritization. Their pastors tend to get famous quick. And unfortunately, I think that's about as much harm as it is good. In fact, probably more harm. One of the reasons I wrote this little book, Unknown, is because I'm concerned with the celebrity nature of our culture. I don't think that's good when a pastor reaches a celebrity status, and usually bad things are going to happen when that happens. I remember one time in my previous church, I said hello to a new member, and she got visibly nervous, and I was like, "What's going on here?" And she said, "Well, this is the first time I've talked to my pastor." And I was like, "Whoa." Come to realize, of course, she'd been at a megachurch where you don't get to meet the pastor. You don't get to say hi. You don't have any conversations. You're not on any committees with him. And I thought to myself, how strange is that your pastor would seem like a celebrity so that you only really see him on the back of his books or on the greeting of the webpage or something like that. It's just kind of a strange way to do pastoral ministry. And rounding out some of the concerns I would have with megachurches, of course, very low attendee accountability. You can attend a megachurch for years and years and nobody knows your name, with no pressure, necessarily good or bad pressure, to get involved in any kind of ministries, to serve in any way. And in a lot of ways, megachurches will just hire staff to do the kinds of work that probably the membership should be doing in all actuality, because they can afford to hire many, many people. They can hire lots of youth people and lots of nursery people and lots of tech and crew and singers and videographers, and they can hire the kinds of people that normal churches would need to recruit from their regular membership. And so it kind of have this over-professionalization. Probably my biggest critique of megachurches, though, and this is a bit of a generalization for which I apologize, is their worship style. It seems like most megachurches today have jettisoned the historic Christian worship with lots of readings of Scripture, prayers of confession, benedictions, Old Testament, New Testament readings, prayers of illumination, all this kind of thing. They've jettisoned it for what I've called on this channel worshiptainment, which is where you essentially reduce worship to a praise and worship by a highly professionalized band concert group, and then what is more like a TED Talk than an expository sermon. And I'm not sure why so many megachurches have gone with the style. I guess it's because it works. It's because that's what people think of in the world that a church should be like, and they're attracted to it when they see it. Personally, I don't think that's the most faithful expression of biblical worship. I think we can certainly do better than that. But anyways, I'm not here to smash on megachurches. Like I said, I was part of one for a long time. Like any church, there's going to be strengths and weaknesses, but you should at least be aware of what they are before deciding to join one. Most of all, though, what you should really know is, what does the church believe? What does it teach? What does it preach? Are you going to get expository sermons that are going to feed you and your family, or to the contrary, are you merely going to be entertained such that you can walk in and walk out for the rest of your life and nobody would be the wiser or even know your name? That, I think, is a problem. Thank you so much for checking in. Do love you lots, and we'll talk to you later.